Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsey Burrell. Today, the South Dakota State Senate voted to remove Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg from office on 2 separate charges and ban him from running for office in the state ever again. This comes almost 2 years after Ravnsborg hit and killed pedestrian Joe Beaver with his car back in the fall of 2020. Our State House reporter Austin Goss tells us about the historic decision from Pierre.
The night of September 12, 2020 was an otherwise ordinary day, filled with mundane moments that through a series of tasks and choices ended in tragedy. It was a response to those moments and the ones that followed, those failed opportunities to do the right thing by Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg, that bring us here today.
On 2 separate charges, the South Dakota Senate voted to convict Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg and ultimately remove him from office. The first charge, dealing specifically with the crash, passed by 1 vote.
The question having received a 2/3 majority vote of the members elect, the Attorney General of the state of South Dakota is convicted of the first article of impeachment and removed from the office of Attorney General.
The second, dealing more with Ravnsborg's conduct in the aftermath, passed by a much wider margin. Initially, many speculated that the vote on the second charge will be the closer of the 2. But it was the testimony of former DCI agent Brent Gromer that helped push the second charge. Gromer, an expert in cell phone forensics, alleged that Ravnsborg improperly met with him in 2020 to discuss what would happen with his phones after he turned them over to law enforcement.
He wanted to ask me about evidence that could be recovered from a cellular telephone.
Was there any pretense that this was about him educating himself on the activities of your unit?
No.
Or a criminal case in which the state of South Dakota was prosecuting?
No.
Ravnsborg's legal team pointed to various allegations made by law enforcement officers early on that turned out to be false. Additionally, they argued that the bar to impeach was too high for the charges. However, the arguments were not enough to convince the third of the Senate that they needed to avoid the charges, ultimately removing Ravnsborg from office and barring him from running for anything in the state again.
And if the defense is, I was not a distracted driver, then there's a way bigger set of facts here we should be thinking about, because that means this person ran down that family, friend, or neighbor at highway speeds, seeing them right in front of them, put their head through the windshield. They were on the vehicle for a couple of seconds before the body rolls off and says, I hit something.
I caught up with Ravnsborg after the proceedings to get his reaction, and both him and his legal team declined to comment. The House and the Senate will be in session briefly on Wednesday morning to wrap up this impeachment special session. In Pierre, I'm Austin Goss.
Well, after a warm and stormy weekend, it was calm and cool for the entire area today. But when will the summer temperatures return? Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist David Stradling to find out. David?
Pretty soon, Lindsay, we're going to have these hot temperatures back in the area, and it's going to get toasty before the week ends. It was very nice, in my opinion. I'm a fan of the cooler temperatures. So yesterday, even though it was pretty rainy, and today were absolutely gorgeous. 66 degrees is what the temperature is outside right now. We did have the fair weather cumulus clouds develop over the Black Hills. We have clear skies now, and that's the way they'll stay throughout the night. 54 out towards the airport, 61 in Phillip and Buffalo, 49 out towards Gillette. For tonight, 50s for Rapid City. Some spots could drop into the 40s like you saw all over towards Gillette. For tomorrow, 87 sunny skies throughout the day. It's going to get even warmer for Thursday before another chance of storms returns for Friday. And then much cooler air returns for the weekend. Those details coming up later.
The Cactus Cafe and Lounge on Main Street in Wall was engulfed in flames when the Wall Volunteer Fire Department arrived early last night. The fire department wanted to save the buildings around the cafe and not disturb any other businesses in the area. What started as smoke coming from the upstairs of the cafe quickly turned into a fire that destroyed the downtown business. People that were in town at the time could not see within 2 blocks of the fire because the smoke was so thick, and several fire departments from surrounding areas spent hours keeping the fire contained to the original structure, and firefighters will remain on scene for multiple days. Thankfully, no injuries were reported.
We got the call about 8:45 or so, fully engulfed. structure on Main Street, a wall. We responded to heavy smoke coming out of the upstairs apartments that is supposed to be abandoned. Shortly after that, we had heavy flames coming out of the eaves and out of the front door of the building.
A neighboring building has visible fire damage to the outside of the building, but businesses are still open. In other news, members of the Senate are struggling to finalize a gun violence compromise in time for their deadline of holding votes in Congress this week. Lawmakers remained at odds over defining abusing dating partners and sending money to states that have, quote, red flag laws allowing temporary confiscation of guns from people deemed dangerous by courts and to other states for their own violence prevention programs. South Dakota Republican Senator John Thune is not making any promises when it comes to the bipartisan gun deal.
Possess firearms, so we're looking very carefully at it, but until we actually see the legislative text and get the details of the so-called deal, we're not going to make any pronouncements about it. But I'll be scrutinizing it very heavily to make sure that it doesn't in any way infringe on a South Dakotan's right to keep and bear arms.
Earlier last week, members of the Senate said that they had a framework of a bipartisan response to recent mass shootings, modest gun curbs, and stepped up efforts to improve school safety and mental health programs. But as of this morning, the text on the bipartisan gun safety legislation has not been released. Well, violence in one Rapid City community has been an ongoing issue. Now, an increase in violence in North Rapid has brought more attention to the issue and the need for a safer community. This morning, I Am Legacy, a nonprofit organization in Rapid City, hosted a 5K walk to bring awareness to the problem and work towards a solution.
Just coming together as a community, doing something together, something constructive with our time, something that's also healthy for us.
Yeah, it's also a good chance for other members of the community to come and see what resources we do have available out here and let them know that there are people willing, wanting to help.
The walk started at the Bandshell and Memorial Park and ended in Sioux Park. Well, the Journey Museum and Learning Center is presenting a unique project. More than 2 decades ago, one of Rapid City's first Vision Fund projects aimed at teaching locals and tourists the past and present history of the Black Hills. Last night's presentation updated the council on how the museum plans to continue that mission, but also expressed the need for community support. Now the museum is anticipating receiving shoebox history, or pieces of people's lives tucked away in a box that will eventually be viewed in an exhibit rather than collect dust.
I think it's very personal for each and every individual throughout the community, which is why we use that little term of shoebox. It could be someone's grandparents' paperwork from when they immigrated to South Dakota and settled their ranch and created generations and generations of South Dakotans.
He says we need to determine how to share today's history with future generations, and that may mean more money down the road. Well, still to come, Rapid City police officers and firefighters are competing in this year's Guns and Hoses Blood Drive. We'll show you how to join in on the competition and save lives this summer. That story after the break. Well, over the next couple of days, it could be your turn to be a hero in the community alongside Rapid City's first responders. Our Leah Burgraff has a story behind a friendly competition as they pull their weight with the goal to bring in more blood donations.
It's the 17th annual battle between the guns and the hoses to see who will take home the trophy by bringing in the most blood donations.
It's our annual blood drive that the fire department and the police department come and we boost up Vitalent's operation.
And really it's just a competition to bring our community together in order to help out our fellow citizens and donate some blood.
The drive kicked off with a fire truck pull between the two departments, with the firemen winning.
Yeah, we won with a pretty good lead. We might have a little bit of experience pulling fire trucks.
But the competition isn't over yet. Inside Uptown Rapid, people are able to give blood and decide to back either the fire or police department. Whichever one has the most donors by the end of the drive walks away with the trophy.
So we've had the support of the Rapid City Fire Department and Police Department for so many years to draw attention to every summer how important it is to donate blood.
Robin says in the summer, school is out and people are traveling, and the thought of donating blood is pushed aside, resulting in a drop in donations.
This year just is a little more than we're used to in the past, and so we are in a critical blood shortage right now.
And blood is important. Robin says a majority of blood donations are used for ongoing medical issues.
So people who have a disease, a blood disease, that they go in and regularly get blood transfusions to live.
But Olson says as a first responder, he witnesses traumatic events where blood is vital for a victim's survival.
We end up dealing with people who are in, like traumatic car wrecks or possibly a stabbing or a shooting. So we both see it from both the trauma side as well as the medical side.
Despite the competition, both RSPD and RSFD recognize the importance of the blood drive. In Rapid City, reporting for KOTA Territory News, I'm Aaliyah Burgraff.
Well, the Rapid City Fire and Police Departments have both taken home the trophy 8 times, making this year a tiebreaker. And the numbers from today put the Fire Department in a very narrow lead, with 64 donors signing up for Team Fire and 63 signing up for Team Law. 135 total units of blood have been collected so far, and if you're interested in donating, you can go to our website at kotatv.com for more information.